Hello. Welcome to my first episode of Look and Learn Lunch. I'm Dr. Pauline Buck. I'm a behavioral developmental and neurorehabilitative optometrist, and my passion is Syntonics. I started out learning about Syntonics probably about 18 years ago. My father was suffering from phantom pain. No doctor was able to figure out what was wrong with him. And I reached out to a colleague of mine and said, what do you recommend? Isn't there something that we can do? Isn't there something? And he says, well, there's Syntonics. You can help relieve some of his pain with Syntonics. I'm like, please tell me more. Well, he certainly did. Not only an earful, but an eyeful. Lots of information came my way, and he put me in touch with another optometrist who was not utilizing his Syntonic equipment, his college Syntonizer, and some of his workbooks. And so I received that information, and I received the equipment, and that was my beginning of using Syntonics. It was with the purpose of helping out my father. Unfortunately, he did pass away before I was able to learn enough to be able to utilize that technique. Now, so many years later, I know I would have been able to help him. Now, Syntonics is not only about pain management. The word syntony was first coined by Dr. Riley Spittler, and what he was trying to say was to bring into balance. So we are trying, through the use of light, natural light, I think is best, heliotherapy, sunlight, but we're going to use light to come into the body and bring the body into a state of balance. Everybody knows about fight, flight, fright, rest, digest, relax, and learn. Those are the opposite ends of the autonomic nervous system. Those two systems, the sympathetic, the fight, flight, fright, and the parasympathetic, rest, digest, and learn, are what we're going to be really addressing when we are addressing the use of Syntonics. You see, when an individual is in a state of fight, flight, fright, they are going to have a hyper-acute sense of the world around them. Their body is responding, it's primed for danger. And the body, what it does is it heightens the senses so that a person is able to detect the danger that's out in their environment. Now, imagine that you're walking through a jungle. You hear your own steps, you hear the sounds around you, you hear the animals, and then you hear a sudden sound. You stop, you freeze, you look. Your eyes go to confirm what your other senses were saying. So once it's confirmed, then your brain has to make a decision. I'm safe or run. But in our world, our digital world, our work world, school world, driving world, that level of danger is not always what our body or our brain is priming us for. And sometimes, especially in younger children or in individuals who are so hyper alert, it doesn't fit in with the world around them. They are frightened, they're scared. And if you have a child that is like that, or you have a friend or a family member who is just really not comfortable in the world around them, it might just be that their sympathetic nervous system is dysregulated. It's easily triggered by what's going on in the world. So Syntonics, let's go back to what it is, and then I'll go back to the autonomic nervous system and what we're going to do. When you take a light, so I'm going to use sunlight and filters. The filters that I have are glasses. There are lenses that you can hold up that makes your arms a little bit on the tired side. In my office, I have a college syntonizer, which is an instrument with a bulb that shines through glass filters, and you're looking inside. Not a lot of movement goes on, and a lot of kids say, this is a bunch of boring nothing. Sorry, kids. I try to make it interesting if I can. But what's really exciting is if you have a pair of glasses on, you're able to walk around outside with those glasses. I like to use them in my morning, or when you saw me this morning priming myself in my little short video. And I'll put on my Syntonic glasses as I'm going through my morning workout or my yoga. And I do it for about 20 minutes. So the light comes in through the filter. The filter allows certain wavelengths to get through into the eyes. The retina of the eye receives that light information and converts it into a signal. The signal goes into the brain, and it goes into multiple areas of the brain. The visual system doesn't just go to the occipital cortex. It doesn't just go straight back to the visual cortex of the brain. It goes to other areas, including the midbrain, including the hippocampus and the amygdala. And those areas receiving that information are going to utilize it to determine what the balance is in the chemicals that are being released in our body, so that we are having happy hormones or hormones to keep us on alert. When we're scared, when something happens and our heart starts beating like a car almost veers into our lane as we're driving to work and we're listening to a great song, and you freak out and your heart starts beating, your eyes get all dilated, and it takes a few minutes to calm yourself down. That's the sympathetic nervous system. It jumps to action to get you out of the way, to save your life. And it's very important. We don't want to get rid of it. We certainly want to have that ability. So Syntonics sends the signal to the brain, not to get rid of the sympathetic tone, but to balance, here's that word balance, it out with the parasympathetic tone. Now, just the opposite. What if you have someone who's always so sleepy and they sit like this all day long and they can't move and, oh, I'm so tired. That's just the opposite. They are way too parasympathetic, and they need to have that imbalance. So you take that syntonic light information, the particular wavelengths that can activate, or the particular wavelengths that can calm down, or both, to balance you out and bring you to a sense of the thought of the yin and the yang, the balanced scale, the if I need to be there or if I need to be here. That's what Syntonics gives you. It gives you the option, but it doesn't, it brings you to that center to be properly triggered under proper circumstances and not constantly easily triggered into an inappropriate response. I have a story, and I like telling my patients this story because it helps to explain just a little bit of how that autonomic nervous system can work for you or work against you. So once upon a time, there was a planet. And on this planet, there was a lovely group of people who lived out very happy lives with only one problem. On that planet, there were monsters that were purple people eaters. Well, the people were purple, of course, and the monsters ate the purple people. So purple people eaters. Well, anytime one of those people would go walking somewhere and see something purple, their nervous system was primed to react. Purple means purple people eater. Scream, turn, run, warn everybody. Get out of the way, and it saved their life. That's really an appropriate reaction to when something is about to attack you. You want to be able to scream, turn, and run. Scream to warn other people. Turn to get out of the way and run to get away. And you want the energy to really, the adrenaline, the cortisol to run through your body to make your muscles go. So even if you hurt yourself, you don't feel it, so that you can get away and live to tell it story another day. Now, imagine one of those purple people coming to Earth. And while I'm not exactly in my office at the moment, many of you have seen the background in my office. My walls are purple. My chairs are purple. Love the purple. They walk into my office. They see purple. They scream, turn, run. I just lost a patient, and I don't know why. That inappropriate response on Earth is exactly like a person whose sympathetic nervous system is highly triggered by just little things. Like a person who's going to sit and the air conditioner turns on. What's that? Or they see something moving, so they look, but they see something else moving over there. Or they see something moving over there. Or they look over there. Or they're over there. Over there. What happens when you're constantly looking all over the place? Attention deficit. Because you're not paying attention to what you should be paying attention to, because your sensory system is warning you, and every time you need to be warned, you need to be alert for that danger. So we're going to use the Syntonic goggles. We're going to put them on. We're going to sit. We're going to do activities. No, you can't look at your phone. No, you can't read a book with them on. It's hard to see with the glasses on. When you're in the instrument in my office, you're looking at the instrument. All we can do is we can talk. I can put things in your hand and you can try to figure out what you're holding. We can have conversations. We can do breathing exercises. We can move the legs. There's a lot of things that we can do in conjunction with the light therapy so that for the 20 minutes that you're being exposed to it, you're not 100% bored. And that's pretty much just a little summing it up of what Syntonics can do. But wait a second. I talked about my father and his pain. How would Syntonics help pain? Pain is the nerves. Pain is there's something wrong with us. How our body, how our brain perceives pain is dependent on how shifted our nervous system is. If we are more alert to warnings, then the body's sense of pain is a high warning system that something's wrong. So that even touch in some individuals can be perceived as pain. If you shift their nervous system over, and you use Syntonics to do so, you might decrease their perception of pain. The sensation might still be there, but it's being converted into an appropriate perception. And what about those people who don't have energy? Well, just like the plants in the world around us receive the light energy, the chlorophyll in their leaves take that light energy and they convert it to food, to energy for the plant to grow and thrive. We can do the same with light energy. We can take light, give the right wavelength to give that person a higher level of energy. So let's take it just for a few moments down to that cellular level. Inside our cells are these powerhouses of energy called the mitochondria. You get them from your mom. All right, so your mitochondria receive food and turns that food into energy that the body utilizes throughout the day. If you're doing Syntonics, you can actually send visual signals into the eyes, and the blood that's going through the retinas at that time receives the light information. It actually touches the blood cells. Those blood cells are now traveling throughout your entire body, carrying that information in the mitochondria, increasing the output of those cells and increasing your energy level. So I hope that you have a good understanding of Syntonics, a basic. I know that you're going to have lots of questions, and I wish this could actually be live. However, being new to social media, I found out today you need 1,000 followers to be live. So the best I could do is record some information for you. You can watch it. There'll be a few minutes on Instagram, and then the rest will be accessible on my YouTube channel. And hopefully one day, that's my goal, I will be able to do a true live session, and we will be able to look, learn, and lunch together. Have a beautiful day. Happy Labor Day. Toodaloo.